Hello everyone. I was going to try my best to describe what is Ethereum. Why is it so popular? What is a smart contract? And I read a book on it, and I'm a programmer, and I think I have a good idea. I want to tell you what I think it is in general terms. Okay, first of all, we know it's a cryptocurrency. That is one of its uses. It has a value. You can buy and sell it. You can use it as any other currency. This, we already kind of know, right? With that, you also can use a wallet. So it also has a wallet. You can send coins to the wallet. You can back it up. You can store. You can exchange. It works as a wallet. But today, what we're talking about are the smart contracts. And the reason I wanted to make this video was because the ones I saw when I first went to YouTube, they didn't really work for me. They didn't really explain it. It wasn't until I dug deeper that I realized that these smart contracts are extremely valuable. This is why I think Ethereum coin is probably the best coin to this day because of the smart contract feature. And I'm going to explain what that is in some examples. I think this coin, the problem with this coin is, and Ethereum and smart contracts, is that it's really complex. To this date, it's still really complex. No one understands it. I'm a programmer and I still don't really understand it. I mean, I couldn't go start making contracts today. I'd have to research, I'd have to learn, take tutorials. But here we are. I'm going to do my best to give you some examples of what it is. Now, I picked two examples here, and I'm going to pretend like this is a pretend. I'm using C#, Microsoft.net C#, and you do not have to read code to understand this, and that's why I'm making this video. I'm going to go ahead and add a disclaimer that this is not an actual code. This is probably not even the right language. But this is what I do as a programmer. I write code, and I do things and make decisions based on variables, parameters, things that might change in the real world. So, for example, if you were signing up for an auto quote on a website, on Allstate's website, you might put in your name, your VIN number and number of accidents and your age, and in the background you would take those parameters and determine what your quote would be. If you're over 40, you would get one quote. If you're in this state, you would get a different quote. Think about that as the parameters that we'll be doing in Ethereum. Now, suppose that let's take an insurance example. The reason why Ethereum is so good is because not only does everyone have a copy of the coins, we all know about the ledgers, and everyone has a copy. All these different nodes and miners have a copy of the ledger, so you know exactly how much coins are in each account, right? That's how it cannot be broken, because it's distributed. No one can shut down one without another one still being there in its place, and hundreds of thousands of them. Well, the Ethereum coin script idea is the same thing, in that your code also gets compiled into the blockchain and cannot be altered, it cannot be changed, it cannot be stopped. It is unstoppable. No one can stop it. So imagine if you made a deal with an insurance company and you said, if my house floods and I'm here, we will pay you 2 times your house value, and then your house floods and the company's goes out of business, says, sorry, we're not paying you, right? Or the company comes over and says, sorry, you don't have enough damage. We said 6 inches, and in our contract, it says 6 and you only got 4, sorry. You know, all kinds of things can stop a real world action from happening, because there's thieves, there's people that lie, there's people that cheat, there's people that get out of things, there's corruption. That's what this is going to solve, if done properly. So let's take that rain amount thing, and let's say we created a smart contract. And it says, and this is just a crazy example, okay? And this code doesn't work. This is what's called pseudocode. It's what it might look like. This code is not foolproof. It is not even close to being real, okay? This is just an example. For you coders out there, I don't want you to hit me up and tell me that this isn't going to work. I know it's not going to work. This isn't a real contract. This is pseudocode, a very simple example. Okay, So let's suppose you made a deal with an insurance company that has a smart contract, and they tell you if it rains more than 9 inches in the total, well, let's say 30 inches. Let's just say if it rains more than 30 inches in the next 12 months or something by a particular date, we will pay you the equivalent of $100,000 in Ethereum coins, or maybe 50 Ethereum coins, whatever. These are just variables, right? So these are the parameters in my crazy example that I'm making up. We sign a deal that says I will be paid if it rains more than 30 inches in 2018. I will be paid, hang on. If it rains more than 30 inches, I will be paid 100 coins, okay? And this is what our agreement might look like. And then we say, all right, everything's good. We sign off on it. It goes into the blockchain. And now anyone can read this and agree, yes, if it rains more than this amount on this date, this account right here, they're going to get the money no matter what on this date. So let's go through this example. Suppose this was the code, this was the agreement that somebody made to an account number. Let's say this is your Ethereum wallet receive address right here. And let's say that this code gets fired once a day. And every single date, it's going to come up here and it's going to need to know how much it's rained up to that point. And this is where the variable amount would be pushed into the code. Not pulled, but pushed. So at some point, and I'm not saying that this is entirely simple right now, but at some point, just assume it is, and it's all in place. It's going to say, hey, did it rain more than 30 inches this year? If no, it's going to do nothing and continue on. And then the next day it runs. Did it rain more than 30? No. And so maybe towards the end of the year, it did rain more than 30 inches. It's going to say, if rain amount, and that's what will be passed in, that value, that variable that would change. Let's say it's 35 inches total for the year. If that, and there was a big rain, right? A big rain came through and a bunch of water and your house got flooded or whatever, it's going to say if the rain amount, 35 inches, is greater than 30 that we agreed upon, now it's going to drop down into this part of the code. Now it's going to say if the date is greater than December 1st, 2018, and it's rained that much more, send the coins in this function to this account. And this is the example I'm setting up, that this is the agreement. It's in code. It cannot be stopped. It cannot be changed. It's got a copy on the ledger. This would happen in this example. Every day, if it's rained more than this on this date, this would be called. If it never happens, you would have to have some way of exiting out of this. If it continued to be called, you would want this to stop happening after December 2nd or December 3rd. These are all problems that you'd have to work out later. But you can see, here's your account ID, and then it would call this function, send this account number 100 coins, and you would get paid. You would look in that account, 3 hours later, you'd have your coins. Nobody could stop it. And you might say, well, how do you send coins? Well, there would be some kind of idea of an escrow account where the money would be there and it can't be touched. And so there will be 1,000 coins there, and the balance would always have to have more than this. And that's where the idea of an escrow account comes from. Once again, this is a crazy example, and I'm going to give you a second example that I dreamed up about gambling. Let's say that you chose the Patriots to win the Super Bowl next. I think it's in February when the Super Bowl's played. So just to be safe, we would maybe have this run on March 1st, right? Or maybe a month later or something, or a week later, just in case there was a dispute and they weren't sure, it was a tie or something. Those are all variables that you'd have to account for. What happens if there's a tie? What happens if the game is canceled? What happens if the teams that I think are in it aren't, or there's a plane crash and the players die and stuff? All kinds of variables that you have to think about when you make a contract. Let's just say this really worked. So again, maybe this only runs on March 1st, or maybe it runs every day. And the user picked a variable. Well, hey, in this example, the user picked the Steelers, right? And this code would be run, and the Patriots are the variable that would, suppose the Patriots actually won. That would be the variable that you would have to check on after the Super Bowl once you would know the variable, right? That's the thing we don't know yet. Otherwise, we would go bet on it. So when this code runs after this date, if whatever the user chose matches who won, it would drop down into this point, and on this date, or after that date, or on that date, is what this is saying. If today's date is equal to 3/1/2018, take this account and send them 50 coins. So essentially, in this case, you picked the Steelers, but the actual variable that was passed in was the Patriots. This would never run. You would not get paid. Now imagine this running for hundreds of people. This could be set up for to be run like in a loop really fast every day after the March 1st until maybe the escrow account. Everyone gets a cut. You could divide the number of people that bet on whatever team, and whoever won it gets a bigger cut. You could divide the escrow account among all the players, right? But here's the deal: is you would be able to see the code. Anybody can see the code because it's baked into the blockchain. So let's suppose, now this is the actual team that won. Let's suppose you picked the Patriots to win way back in December 2018, right? And notice that I typed it Patriot. That could be a problem because Patriot is not equal to Patriots in code. This is where things are going to get real complicated, because if you pick Patriot and you mistyped it and it says Patriots, this will never run because those are not equal. Patriot is not equal to Patriots. These are kind of things you're going to need a programmer for, because everything has to be super precise and everything's super accurate. This is where the complications come in, and this is where I see the problems being. How do you get the Super Bowl winner pushed into this code, and what if somebody sends in the wrong winner on purpose and decides to mess with the code? How do you make sure the variables get in here? Those are all questions that I don't know right now. But let's say you pick the Patriots and run Super Bowl winners happens on March 1st. It's going to go, did the user pick the Super Bowl? Does that equal Patriots? Let's say you actually picked Patriots. Yes. Go to this line of code. Is today March 1st after the Super Bowl, in other words? Yes. These are all matching. Send this account, your account, 50 coins to this ID. You get paid on that day. Nothing can stop it. The bookie can't skip town. Nobody can take your coins. This is how a smart contract would work. In just these two crazy examples, imagine millions and trillions of examples and ways this could be used. Entire companies can be built on the blockchain using scripts and literally not even have an owner. There could be smart contracts set up for gambling that nobody owns. It just runs every year, every single year. This contract for the next 100 years, you can pick. I want to pick a team. You put it in a variable, and you put 50 coins in your escrow account. If you win, you get a share of that escrow account based on however many people. Do you see how this contract could take on a life of its own in my example? All right, that's it. These are smart contracts. That's the best way I know how to explain it. Once again, these are crazy ideas, and there's lots of problems with what I just showed you, as in how do you get the variables into the program? How do you make sure that those variables aren't altered? How do you make sure that these things don't account for ties in the football game? What happens if it's snowed out or something? What happens if one of the teams deflates the ball, like the Patriots, and they declare the game invalid or something? Those will all be, maybe you get your coins back. If anything other than the Patriots win, everyone gets their coins back. Something like that would have to be baked into the system, and it could get very tricky. All right, let me know if you like this. If you understood it, let me know if I'm right. Thank you.